Hey guys, welcome back to the Playpen. If you watched our last vid, then you probably know we've been playing Sea of Thieves lately. After playing for a few days, I think we're ready to share our thoughts on the experience. To put it bluntly, Sea of Thieves does some things right, but it also does a lot of things wrong. I read a comment online that I think perfectly sums up Sea of Thieves. It went, "Sea of Thieves is a giant sandbox without any toys to play with." So, what does Sea of Thieves do right? From a graphical perspective, Sea of Thieves nails it. The art team at Rare has done a spectacular job at creating a finely detailed and appealing world. Characters are stylized and creative, islands are lush and intricate, and the water looks amazing. As silly as it sounds, I don't think we've ever seen water look this good in a video game before. The first few hours are truly captivating, especially if you're playing with friends. Sailing in a sloop or galleon, managing sails, navigating the seas, and exploring the many islands all make for a fun and unique experience. Proper sailing requires good coordination among your crew and feels extremely rewarding when things are going well. It's easy to lose yourself in these early moments. One aspect I find quite enjoyable is the dynamic nature of the game. Getting sidetracked from your main objective will be a frequent occurrence. Skeleton raids, the Kraken, enemy PvP, sunken ships, messages in bottles, and so on. Unfortunately, after a few days, the honeymoon period begins to wear off and you start to see the cracks. So, where does Sea of Thieves go wrong? The most glaring and obvious of these faults is the shallow and repetitive nature of the game. I'm sure many of you are already well aware of this issue by now, but it's easily the game's biggest problem. The three main factions have you doing the same fetch quests over and over, and there's no variation to the formula at all. The gold hoarders have you recover chests by giving you a treasure map with an X on it marking the treasure, or a riddle that will eventually lead you to a buried piece of treasure. Most of the time, the riddles are way too easy and don't feel as rewarding to complete as they should. I also find it contradictory that we sell our chests, which are filled with gold, to a gold hoarder so that they can pay us back with gold. It makes no sense. The Order of Souls have you find and kill a skeleton captain and crew for the captain's skull, which can be turned in for reputation and gold. Sometimes the bounties task you with killing multiple captains. The final and most tedious and boring is the Merchant Alliance. They require you to find and capture random amounts of pigs and chickens, which then have to be dropped off at a specific outpost. Animals vary in color, which makes finding the right version an even more tedious task. Animals spawn at random on islands and seem to always be harder to come across when you are actively trying to look for them. The Merchant Alliance quests are simply not worth the time it takes to complete them. So, what is the point of these fetch quests? To earn gold and reputation. The higher your reputation with a faction, the more gold you earn. The more gold you have, the more items you can buy from the vendors. Each outpost contains a set number of vendors that sell cosmetic items. Clothes, weapons, tools, and ship components are all available to the players for differing amounts of gold. The main draw is that all unlocks are cosmetic only with no boost to stats. At the moment, there is no penalty for dying. As long as your ship remains afloat, you will always respawn back at it. If your ship sinks, you respawn at a nearby island with a new ship and a full complement of supplies. Twice now, my friends and I have found ourselves in frustrating circumstances resulting from this system. On 2 occasions, we had defeated an enemy crew without realizing we had to sink their vessel before we could truly claim victory. One of our members boarded the opponent's vessel with the intent of adding it to our fleet, only to be cut down by the enemy who simply respawned below deck. He had a full health bar and a renewed supply of bullets. The second time we encountered an enemy group, we made sure to sink their vessel after eliminating its crew. We watched in joy as mountains of chests and skulls floated to the surface, waiting to be claimed. As we were ferrying the loot back to the boat, we were surprised to realize the defeated crew had respawned at the nearest island and had sailed back to us before we even had a chance to finish looting the spoils of our victory. Without any remaining cannonballs to fight with, we were quickly defeated. A respawn system like this is frustrating, and quickly makes you second guess if it's even worth getting into skirmishes with other players. Aside from the PvP, you have the PvE, which is sadly not much better. Besides the rare Kraken, there are only 2 types of enemies you can fight in the wild: skeletons and sharks. Sharks are all the same and are pretty much pointless. Skeletons don't fare much better either. There are different types, but they all fight the same way. Some use guns, others just swipe at you, and it certainly doesn't help that the AI is mundane and lacking overall. The first-person combat is poor. Gunplay works alright, but the swordplay is surprisingly bad. Swinging your sword is jerky and stiff. Charging up for a sword strike feels like it's missing half of its animation, and the complete character slowdown at the end makes it annoying. In comparison, Skyrim, a 7-year-old game, has a far superior first-person sword combat system. One thing that surprised me is the size of the map. It may look large upon initial inspection, but after playing for a few days, I've realized it's actually quite small. I've already found myself visiting the same island multiple times. I knew this would happen eventually, but I didn't think it would happen this soon. In conclusion, though I have been harsh on Sea of Thieves, I do still believe it's a good game with a lot of fun to be had. The concept is fantastic, and with a little more thought and execution, I think it could become even better. A solid foundation has been set, and I hope that over time, Rare continues adding to the game and addressing player feedback. I have no doubt that Sea of Thieves will only get better as time goes on. If you have some friends to play with, I definitely recommend giving this one a try. Pro tip: if you're unsure about buying the game, you can always try it out free right now on Xbox Game Pass for 14 days. Thanks for sticking around, guys. Catch you on the next one.